everyone, welcome to a new video. Welcome to my channel. My name is Maaike. Today we are doing a full face of Too Faced. Because Too Faced is a brand that apparently I have quite a bit of makeup by, I was trying to decide which brand could be next, and I just noticed that apart from a few products, I could do a full face of Too Faced quite easily. There were only two things I bought specifically for today's video, which is quite rare. So yeah, I don't have brows because for some reason their brow stuff no longer seems to come in my shade. I don't know what's going on there. And I don't have mascara. I did try the Better Than Sex mascara years ago, but not to the point where I would want to repurchase it for a video like this, because I didn't like it very much. If you're wondering what's going on the side, I got myself a steaming hot mug of tea with milk because I was really craving tea with milk, and it's in my more orders map. Ooh, I'm not sure if I can show you this because it's hot. I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good mug. This is my favorite mug for tea with milk. And the tea I've got in here is an afternoon tea by Withers of Chelsea, which came in like a Alice in Wonderland tin. It's really pretty. Oh, and I got myself something to snack on. So these are chocolate pepernoten. It's a Dutch treat that's only around in the fall time for Sinterklaas. So they're like little ginger cookies that are covered in chocolate. So I'm set and ready to go. So let's put some makeup on this face. And we're gonna get started with one of my all-time favorite primers, and that's the Hangover RX Replenishing Face Primer, which is infused with coconut water, probiotic-based ingredients, and skin revivers. I bought this in a travel size a few years ago, used it up completely, loved it. And so I bought myself a full size, which I have never used because I had so many other primers that I wanted to try. And with primer, I tend to use one up and then move along to the next thing. So, but yeah, primer is something that I can use up quite quickly, so I don't really mind. But yeah, this has been sitting unopened in my drawer, even though like it's one of those products where I'm like, you know, if I just have it, I can always go back to it. Like if I have a really, really bad primer 1 month, I can just always revert to this. I know it's good. So let me see. So I think we all know what this looks like. It's like this creamy sort of product. Ooh, smells very heavily of coconut. You know how that's my one pet peeve about anything Too Faced, is just the scents. The scents, the smells, I don't need it. I don't like it. I don't think that makeup has to be this perfumey, especially not eyeshadows and lipsticks or face primers, like, because this is just a little too much, but oh well. Luckily with Too Faced, the scent never really lingers very long, but it's been one of my main gripes about, well, anything Too Faced, because I'm doing a full face today, so I'm gonna smell like a fruity, chocolatey mess for sure. Then another OG favorite, but I by now have found many other eyeshadow primers that I prefer at the drugstore that are far more affordable than the infamous Shadow Insurance. I remember back in the day when I first got into makeup, like more than a decade ago, there were only really two of these. And one of them was Too Faced Shadow Insurance and the other one was Urban Decay's Primer Potion. And no other brand did this. Because I remember when I first started doing makeup, my eyeshadow would crease all of the damn time. Like it was a mess. We were a mess. Like who remembers this? If you were around in like the noughties and the 90s, like everybody's makeup was just creasing all over the place because this didn't exist yet. I do have to say though that, as I mentioned, this is a little expensive for what it is. This is the one that I bought. I used up one of these. These things last forever because you get a ton of products and you only need a little bit. But they did reformulate it in between, and ever since they reformulated it, I didn't like it very much. So I've only used this a handful of times. And what I don't like about it is I'm not sure if it will do it because it's not all the time. But yeah. Ooh, yeah. So do you see, I'm not sure if you can see that on my finger, but it's very oily. Like first you get a bit of oil and then you get the product. And it doesn't do it every single time you use it, but it does it sometimes. And there are times where you use it and you get more oil than you get product, which And that's been the case since they reformulated a few years ago. And that's why this one isn't my favorite. It's just a little expensive. Like with the amount of product you get and this thing, like when I used one up, I think it lasted me like 2.5 years with everyday use. So it's good value for money for sure. But I just like the Milani. I think the Milani eyeshadow primer is wow, I can't speak English today. But the Milani eyeshadow primer is, I think, my favorite. So yeah, that's this is nice. It gets the job done, but I just feel there are much more affordable eyeshadow primers on the market that are just as good. So the next step would be foundation, and I'm going to go in with the Born This Way foundation. This is not my favorite foundation ever. I need to shake this up. And this is, I think, the only foundation that I've tried. This is the undetectable medium to full coverage foundation that is oil-free. And my issue with Too Faced is that a lot of their products are geared towards oily skin and not towards dry skin like mine. I do remember this being nice, but you could see a little bit, like I've only used like this much of it and I've had this foundation for years. It's not my favorite, but I have gotten compliments when wearing this, so it's okay. What shade do I have this in? Is it Snow? Yes, I have this in the shade Snow. Oh, and another gripe with the Too Faced foundation, it does come in a lot of shades, but it turned, like at first, the shade range was a bit crappy. They had to make new shades that went darker a little later on. And as you can see, even the lighter shades, like these do not come in like cool, warm, neutral. It's just everything has a yellow undertone, which I know some brands believe is flattering on everyone, but I will show you in a minute that it's not. Well, this is okay, I feel, but a lot of the shades are very, very yellow toned. I've got an itchy nose. So that's what the Born This Way foundation looks like on. It's got a little bit of glow, but this is a little bit more coverage than I would normally go for. I've also found that at the moment, every foundation I use has a very big issue trying to stick to my nose here on the side. So let me see if I can fix that. So that foundation, it's nice, it's okay. Would I recommend it? Not necessarily. It's okay. I don't think this is anything revolutionary, even though I got a lot of hype when it was released. And then we're moving on to concealer, and I've got two concealers by Too Faced. They're both from the Born This Way line. One of them is their multi-use sculpting concealer, and I have their naturally radiant concealer. This one has been discontinued, and it's such a shame because this is one of the best hydrating concealers I've ever tried. This is matte, like a demi matte, and this looks horrible on me. It looks very creasy on my under eyes. I've kept it around because I was like, ooh, I could still use it for contouring or like on the face. Like if I don't want to faff around with a full foundation, this could be great for travel. I haven't used it in like over a year. So I don't think this will last another declutter when I declutter my collection sometime in 2021. This is also in the shade Snow. This one is in the shade Fair, and this is a lot more pink toned as well than the other one. So shade wise and texture wise, this just suits my complexion a lot better. And I think it's such a shame that Too Faced simply discontinued their more hydrating concealer line. Like, why would you do that? Why do you only give us matte options? Like, give a dry girl her stuff too. But this one, sad to see it go. It's why I've been, like, I used it a few times earlier this year, and I loved it, but now I'm like, ooh, I don't want to use it up because I'll never be able to buy it again, you know that feeling? And then we're moving on to powder, and I always forget that I have one of these, but it is one that I really like, and it's the Born This Way loose powder. It's the ethereal setting powder, and it comes in this packaging that has a screw up top, and it then has a sifter that closes off completely. And on the one hand, that's great because for travel, it means it doesn't make a mess. However, I feel that for everyday use, this thing kind of gets in the way from getting the product out of the packaging. So for me, you know, you need to put it in here, but then everything gets over the sifter if you've got too much. So yes, it's nice from like a packaging thing, but you do need to have something else lying around that you can then dab the powder into again, which kind of defeats the point for me. This is a really, really lovely powder. I tried this in my trying cult loose powders video that I did like over a year ago. So what I did in that video is that I tried 7 loose powders and sort of ranked them, and this is the one that came out on top. So this is one that I definitely want to go back and use, but in terms of powder, Too Faced has one that I absolutely adore, and they've redone it. And that's why I wanted to use it in this video, because this is my 4th one of the Primed and Poreless pressed powder. And this can be a little bit more difficult to find. They don't sell it in every store. So this is brand new. This is one of the 2 products that I purchased for today's video. And what they've done is that they repackaged it. So it came in a round compact, similar to the compacts for the chocolate Soleil bronzers. And now it comes in square packaging, and the only thing they've really changed is that shape, because it's still pink. And then you get the powder, and then underneath the powder, come on, oh, there it is. There's a little sponge, which I don't use. So again, this packaging could have been half the size if it was just the powder. What they did also do with revamping this is that they now give you just 6 grams of product. Before, this product came with 10 grams. So you get 4 grams fewer, and it's still as expensive. So this is a bit of a ripoff, but I bought it because in this video, I just wanted to show it. This is my favorite, all-time favorite pressed powder. So that's why I did want to commit. So let me see how this goes, if it's still as good as I remembered it being. And I remember when I bought this, like the first one I bought, on a trip to New York, and I was like this makeup artist was there to promote some, I think it was the new Born This Way foundation actually, and he put this on. I was like, wow, my makeup has never looked this good. This is a powder that even if you have dry skin, it just works. And I used to really go hand with this, and I would like use a very dense brush and then dust it off with this. And I would go through it very quickly, but I found that if I just use that brush that I just used, which is a Sigma F25, if I do that, then I can make that powder last a lot longer. Ooh, I look super pale now. So that's a 1 shade and you're done. They don't do any other shades. It is very white. So I can imagine that if you have a very dark skin or maybe a warm tone skin, it can give you a little bit of a white cast perhaps, but on my pale skin it works well. So now that we have everything done, I quickly did my brows. It's time to talk about bronzer, and I've got 2 Too Faced bronzers. And I think that for a while, Too Faced was like the bronzer brand. And I do have to say I like these, but they're not my favorite. In fact, I featured this in my decluttering series as one I want to declutter. And then I pulled it back out because I just like the packaging too much. And I remember this being a really nice glowy bronzer for me for the summertime. It's going to be too dark for right now. And then we have the Milk Chocolate Soleil bronzer, which is one that I bought after Lisa Eldridge recommended this as a good bronzer for fair skin. And this, sadly, if I use it all over, it looks very muddy on me. So what I've been using this for, I'm not sure if you can see, but this has a huge dent right here in the middle. I don't think you can see that. But it's got a huge dent, and I've been using this as contour mainly. So I thought we could go a little bit old school, and I'm just going to use both of these. So I'm going to contour using the Milk Chocolate Soleil, because that's what I used to do. And then I would use the Hourglass Ambient Lighting powder in Radiant Light, which is not a bronzer but a powder. But I would use that as my bronzer. But I would contour with this. And I know it's perhaps a little warm for a contour, but I don't like it super, because I'm going to blend my bronzer and my blush and all that over this. So that's all I would do. If I use it up here, this bronzer just looks very, very patchy on me. So that's why I always Just use it like this. And then I'll just brave it and hope for the best. I'll try and feature more so the light shade than the darker shade and not swirl them together. Of course, this brush, this is the Crown Duo Face C46. So maybe if I just focus my brush on that lighter shade, it can still work. But this is a little bit too warm tone for my complexion right now. Like, it can work. So that's not too bad, but it's a little stark and a little too yellow almost. Like it's just a bit too warm for my complexion right now. But in the summertime, this was very pretty. So I did like it then. I only have one Too Faced highlighter, and it's their Lovelight highlighter in the shade Ray of Light. I remember like swatching these in a Sephora in the US when I was there to decide which shade I wanted to get, and I remember going for this because it is a peachy toned highlighter, and I think it's one of the first peachy toned highlighters I ever owned. Let me swatch this before we put it on so you can see a little bit more full on what it looks like. But you see that it's peach, but it still has almost like an icy flash to it, and that's why it works on my skin tone. It's definitely not too deep. So I remember back at that time, a lot of highlighters were far too dark for me because they were much more geared towards like medium tan skin tones. Like I remember this came out around the time that Champagne Pop launched. I own that and I find it too deep for me. But this, because it has that more icy flare, it works. So let me put this on. So you see that it just looks really natural on the skin. And this is one that I kept over other peachy toned highlighters that I owned because it's just such a good one. Just such a good one. In terms of blush, I've got a few options. Let's just start with things that I know for sure. At least one thing, I think these have been discontinued. The Sweethearts blushers. This is in Peach Beach. I bought this off of the recommendation of Emily Noel because she was raving about how this was a really nice, universally flattering, shimmering peach shade. It is, she's absolutely right, which is why this has been in my collection for years. And every summer, like every once in a while, I'll reach for this. It's not my favorite all-time blush by any means. And I think actually today, with what I've got going on, I think this may actually be very pretty because it's super glowy. And then a product where it's like, is it discontinued? Is it not? They're Love Flush blushes. I own 2 of these. And these are some of my favorite blushes, which is why I own 2. Very often, if I like a blush, I'll own a nude and a bright shade. So that's what I went for here. The nude shade is called Baby Love. This is the one I've used the most, and you can still see the pattern because this takes a while before the pattern like even starts to show anywhere. It's very similar to like my Tarte, one of my favorite Tarte nudie tone blushes for sure. So I'll show you Baby Love, which is a really nice neutral. And then I have How Deep Is Your Love? And this, I remember this being described as like a watermelon pink. And it's sort of that shade of NARS Orgasm, but without the sparkle. Which, that's one of the reasons why I sort of decluttered my NARS Orgasm, because I didn't like that. But it's like a very soft watermelon pink kind of shade for sure. And these are really nice on the cheeks for sure. These are, it's such a shame that these have been discontinued. If you can still find them, I think this Too Faced website still sells some shades, but not all. I see this one popping up sometimes, and this is just a really lovely shade, I have to say. And then another one, so the toss-up is between this one and this one. That's what I need to decide. This is one of their Fruit Cocktail Blush Duos. This is in Berries and Bubbly. And this is the only one I own because all the other shades seem pretty dark for my pale skin. So they do a couple of shades that I found really intriguing. I think the melon one could suit me quite well, but they're also very warm toned, all of these blushes. The more cool toned shades are super duper intense, but this is super sparkly, super fun. But I think that this is currently in my Shop My Stash, by the way. I'm currently using this in my everyday makeup drawer, so this one I've already used a few times. So I think just for nostalgia's sake, I think I want to go with this. And I love how this works because what I like doing, the reason why I apply my blush last is so I can sort of blend the highlighter and the bronzer and now contour all together. And I feel that this blush just does that so well. Like, I really like this cheek look. I don't really contour anymore because I don't really think it suits my face. I have got a very long, narrow face, so contouring to make your face look slimmer isn't really something I need to be doing. But you know, back in the day, back when Too Faced bronzers were a hype, that's what we did. But I do really like this cheek look. Like, I think it looks really nice. So I quickly primed my lids for my little double priming action, and now it's time to move on to eyeshadow. Eyeshadow is, of course, where I have most by Too Faced. For sure, I have 6 of the, like, chocolate bar, gingerbread kind of palettes. It's been a while since I bought some Too Faced eyeshadow. The last one I got is the gingerbread spice. The extra spicy look is similar to this, and the pumpkin spice, while looking very pretty, I just feel it's another rendition of the gingerbread spice with some more purples, and I'm like, I don't need that at this moment. Like, I have too much eyeshadow to begin with. Like, I just do. I mean, I've got over 200 palettes. A color story now really has to excite me in order to like it, and Too Faced seems to be very much gearing towards warm tone neutrals, and it's not necessarily my cup of tea, as you will see when we talk about some of my favorites. So let's start with this first, because this I haven't showed you, the Just Peachy mattes. And I don't like matte palettes, because shimmer shadow is where it's at for me. I love a good shimmer, that's my favorite thing. But this is a matte palette I can get down with because you do get a good color variation. So I feel that if I want to go for an all matte look, I will probably reach for this or one of my The Balm Meet Matte palettes. And it has one of my favorite all-time dark deepening shades, and that's Chocolate Dipped. This is a shade I pulled in when I was thinking of making, like, conceptualizing, if I were to make a 15-pan palette, what would it be? Of course it would be cool toned, and I would put in this. And this is such a lovely, deep, like, not chocolatey brown, but more like a coffee kind of shade. The OG chocolate bar, everybody knows by now, if you've watched this channel for a while, that this is not my favorite eyeshadow palette. I was very late to the party buying this. That's one. And every look I do with this, I did a video showcasing that for you in a 3 looks 1 palette video, which I can upload. I can link it in the eye above if you're interested. But everything turns into a smoky eye. Because I'm very fair, and this is sort of like, it starts medium and then it goes deep. So I can only really use these 6 shades and then maybe these 2. These 2. This whole corner is far too deep. This, like, everything just looks like a dark brown in the end. My first Too Faced palette, in case you were wondering, therefore was the Semi-Sweet, which has been discontinued. Sad, sad day. And the packaging on these, they are magnetized, but I have found that if I pick these up, if they lie on a table and I pick them up, that they pop open very easily, which is why some of them have this little gash from where my nail sort of dug into it as I was trying to pick it up. But this has always been my favorite of, like, the 2 original ones, because this just is a little less deep. It's just a bit more neutral for what I look for. It's got some more cool tones. I'm not saying this is a cool tone palette. This is still a warm tone palette for sure, but mousse and pudding and also hot fudge, truff, frosting, like, these shades are verging onto the more cooler end of the spectrum, which is of course why I'm going to like it. Rum Raisin is one of my favorite shimmers. I know everybody was hating on Pink Sugar back in the day, but it works well enough for me. I love putting it in the inner corner for a bit of sparkle there. I do wish that Bonbon and Caramel were different shades. On the eye, I feel they pull very similarly. I think the next one I got is the Sweet Peach, and I bought this when it launched, which at the time, Too Faced wasn't available in the Netherlands, but I happened to be in London the week this officially launched to the public, and they still had a few at Debenhams, and I bought it. So this is the original formula. I've heard people say this isn't the best for, like, reformulated versions. This suffers from what the original chocolate bar also suffers from. It's too deep. These 6 shades, I can just like discount as being part of this palette because this all just looks black. This warm tone I can still use. Maybe Charmed, I'm sure, can work, but it pulls a bit darker on me than I would like. So for me, I just kind of go in this side of the palette. Talking then about the last palette I bought, because I want to leave my favorites till the end, and that is the Gingerbread Spice. And I did try to hunt this down quite a bit because I believe it had already sold out by the time I was like, oh, I'd like to have that. And as far as warm tones go, I like this. I really do. I really like this shade here in the corner. It's called Spiced Rum. Like all these like rum raisin, like those shades, they're a bit more cool toned. They're a bit taupey. So that's why I like it. Let me swatch that for you. That's a really stunning shimmer. So I just want to, because I definitely have a type. We all know that. We all know that. But these two are my favorite Too Faced palettes, and both of them you can no longer buy. That goes for a lot of these actually. I think you can still get the peach and the original from the stack I just showed you. But the Chocolate Bonbons has been one of my favorite cool tone palettes for years. I didn't originally buy it because of the kitschy packaging and the hearts. I just no. But this color story is really, really lovely. I'm not sure if you can see, but Cafe au Lait has seen a lot of use. I love Molasses Chip, which is this shimmer right here. Mocha, Almond Truffle. I do also like, what's this called? Satin Sheets, that shimmer in the middle here. Earl Grey, and I like Totally Fetch as well, which is like a classic Too Faced shade. But the Too Faced palette I love the most is the white chocolate bar, because this is cool toned and it's fair. So everybody was hating on this because it was just not doing much for them. And this is going to look super ashy on you if you have anything that's deeper than my complexion. On me, it looks lovely. So I think what I want to do today is showcase this palette for you. I definitely want to show off Sugared Raisin. So rum or raisin, like if that's in the title, apparently I love the shade. Use some of the mattes in this corner over here to set the look up. And then maybe use a little bit of that chocolate dipped shade to do a bit of liner, because I don't really like the black that's in here. The black sugar shade, I mean, it's fine, but not something I use a lot. But yeah, this is super pretty. So I think I'll just do a look with this. So let me zoom you in and do that. So that's the eye look done. It's nice and quick and easy. I love how neutral this is. Sugared Raisin is all over my lid. I put Indulge in the under corner, and I forgot to show you, but I put Exotica on the lower lash line. Those are my 3 favorite shimmers in this palette. So let's put on mascara, and then I've got 2 more products for you. So 2 more products left, and I'm going to start with lips because I just forgot I put on mascara, which is a bit of a fail because I still need to do lipstick and setting spray. And for lipstick I have this. This is the Too Faced Sex on the Peach lipstick. I'm not sure what line this is from, but I believe that it just has that little peach on it there. And this is what mine looks like. It's a little mini and it's almost gone. So my goal is to use it up before the end of the year. And this has been my go-to nude lipstick for most of the year. I actually had to stop using it because I was like, I want to do this full face of Too Faced. So I need to stop using this little bit of lipstick before I use it up completely, because it's just been lovely. This has been going with everything, I tell you. Like, this is the kind of nude that goes with everything. I've been eyeing up the full size online to see if I want to own it, but I think I've got plenty of nude lipsticks that can replace this once it's gone. I really don't need it. All right, so I think this has about like 5 uses left. I mean, I can definitely feel that plastic already, and I think it may actually like start breaking off soon too. But yeah, that's what that lipstick looks like. I wore this a ton in the springtime and absolutely adored it. So that's Sex on the Peach, which is I think one of their matte formula lipsticks, I believe. I'm not sure. And then I have this, and this is the only other product by Too Faced that I bought for this video, and this is their Hangover RX 3-in-1 replenishing primer and setting spray. Now I intend to use this just as a setting spray, and I bought the travel size, which I never buy travel size. Well, I think that that's one of the things I like about Too Faced is also with the primer from this line, that I was able to try it first to see if I like it, and then you can just buy the full size. Let me see. Ooh. That's a nice enough spritzer, I think. So let me try this. Okay. I thought this was going to smell very heavily of coconut, like the primer, but this has a much softer scent. So I do really like that. I still need to take pictures of this, but with this product, I don't really mind. So far, so good. That is a full face of Too Faced makeup done though. So I really hoped you enjoyed watching this video, that we could talk about some OG products that like back in the day everybody was talking about or raving about. I definitely haven't been interested in a Too Faced product for a hot minute, so I thought we could like kick it old school for a minute and talk about some stuff that we all used to love way back when and reminisce together. So let me know in a comment down below what your favorite Too Faced product might be. I would be very curious to know. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make 3 new videos a week, so I will be back soon with more content for sure. So I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye.